Hello and welcome to this special radio town hall meeting against corruption by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMORG. I am Adaobi Obiabubo. PRIMORG is a civil society group with a mandate to promote good governance, participation and accountability. The MacArthur Foundation supports this town hall meeting against corruption. Today's town hall meeting will feature a 2019 integrity icon, Kachelo veteran Robert Ndukwe. We will also have on the program Eyong Sunday, a business development coordinator at Oxfam. He is an associate of Robert Ndukwe. Dr. Sam Amadi, who is a senior lecturer and head of department, Public and International Law at Barest University. We also have David Crown, or Yebisi, the founder and executive director, Center for Educational Empowerment and Orientation. We have Christy Imudia, the proprietress of Excellent Kiddies Montessori Academy, Buari, Abuja, and Prince Chimaroke Chukwuka, a representative of Accountability Lab Nigeria. Let me introduce the moderator of today's town hall meeting. She has been into an area of advocacy and functioned actively in leadership teams for pro-Nigeria campaigns. She is the executive director at TechHa Nigeria, and her interest revolves around women, media, politics, and technology. Chioma Agwebu, we are glad to have you again moderate our radio town hall meeting against corruption. Remember that you can be part of this meeting. Be ready to join through the phone in the course of the deliberations. You can begin to send your views to 0902-265-6167. Let me leave the stage for our able moderator, Chioma Agwebu, who will come in after this timeout. Voices against corruption. Let the people speak.
Hello and welcome to PRIMORG's public feedback series on corruption, called Voices Against Corruption. And we ask, do you think corruption is responsible for the poor educational system in Nigeria?
When you have people who do not even have university qualifications, being lawmakers and governors and being placed in high positions, what does that tell you? Corruption goes a long way to ruin what we already had from the beginning of time. And when you have such in place, you see that the young ones coming up are no longer interested.
Nigeria has not actually restructured education. Why the problem is because of corruption. Most of these leaders, they don't want the students to school here. They take them outside to school. So that's because they don't, because it's not actually affecting them. That is why they just kept. Anytime there's a budget for education, you don't see anything happening.
Education has not been well funded in this country. We have not taken education seriously. We don't see it as a major ingredient of national development.
Corruption has not actually allowed our educational system to flourish in this country. When schools open, government schools refuse to resume because of the corruption. Where it is not working in the government sector, it is working in the private sector. Go to private schools and you will see them flourishing. Why? Because the management system is better. But in the government system, the management system is poor.
Poor education is the cause of corruption. Right from nursery section, you see parents settling teachers to make sure that their children passes well. Like in those days, when if you didn't do well, you repeat. But in government schools now, they don't repeat. No matter the result you make, you must go to secondary school.
Okay, welcome to another edition of this fantastic program. I hope that you've been following us well before now. This is the town hall meeting against corruption. My name is Chioma Agwebu. Thank you so much, Adobe, for the warm introduction. And I hope we all listen to the Vox Pop. As we know, education or the lack of it is both a cause and an effect of corruption. Even though in every part of the world, education is regarded as the bedrock of development. And as such, in most developed, developing and underdeveloped countries, accordingly, governments make the funding of formal education of its citizens a top priority. What's the case in Nigeria, though? Unfortunately, education in Nigeria is bedeviled with a myriad of problems. These include poor funding, poor educational infrastructure, paucity of quality teachers, poor learning environment. The list goes on and on. I'm sure we listened to the respondents in the Vox Pop talk about that. Now, in addition to these shortfalls, corruption has been identified as a major social vice plaguing Nigeria's school system. According to findings, age-long corruption in Nigeria's educational system has ensured that the country is in an assorted state of infrastructural decay. There's a vast waste of resources, and the conditions of service are just despicable. Furthermore, the present day reality is that Nigeria has no fewer than 10 million out of school children. This is the highest in the world. 10 million human beings are out of school. Another 27 million children in school are performing very poorly. Millions are half educated, and over 60 million, or 30% of Nigerians, are illiterate today. Very stark, very alarming numbers. Today, however, it's not all gloom and doom. We'll be celebrating a teacher who has stopped at nothing to bring fraud and maladministration to a halt in her area of influence. Mrs. Roberts Ndukwe once investigated and exposed a teacher who was receiving a salary from a school where she was not a teacher. I wonder how those things happen. Stick with us and you'll find out. Her name continuously reflected on the voucher for monthly payments in collaboration with the principal who was sharing this monthly pay with her. Amongst other noble acts, this 2019 integrity icon has also fought against abrupt increment of school fees, examination malpractices, and extortion of students in her school, on and on and on, and she's going to tell us all about that. Participants at today's town hall meeting will look at the impact of corruption in Nigeria's educational system and how the nation can get out of the woods that we're currently in. PRIMORG's Radio Town Hall Meeting Against Corruption is a collaborative effort with the Accountability Lab Nigeria to tell the stories of integrity in public places with support from the MacArthur Foundation. So let's get into the conversation. And we have Madam Kachielom Bertram Roberts Ndukwe in the studio with us today. We have Mr. Eyong Sunday Eyong, who's an associate of Madam Roberts Ndukwe, will join us on phone from Jalingo. We also have Dr. Sam Amadi, who's a senior lecturer and head of Department Public and International Law at Bayes University, Abuja. We have David Crown Oyebisi, founder and executive director, Center for Educational Empowerment and Orientation. We have Christy Imudia, proprietress of Excellent Kiddies Montessori Academy, Buari, Abuja. And finally, last but not the least, we have Prince Chimaroke Chukwuka, who is almost a staple on this program now. He's the representative of Accountability Lab Nigeria. Remember, you're in this town hall with us wherever you are in the country or beyond listening, and you have the opportunity to make your contributions when we open our phone lines. Your contribution, listen carefully, will be on how we can reduce corruption that's currently damaging our educational system. How can we take it to the barest minimum? How can we reduce corruption damaging our educational system and take it to the barest minimum? Why has it become common to pay for marks in our schools or for parents to push for their wards to be assisted in exams? Those are the two questions. As soon as we open the phone lines, get ready to give us your responses. Now let's start with Madam Roberts Ndukwe. You were named an integrity icon. Congratulations. I hope you feel excited and as excellent as we think you are. And you have a fascinating profile as a citizen with integrity and in making sure that the right things are done in the educational sector. Walk us through your motivations in choosing to toe this path.
It's not easy to be an integrity person because to toe this path, it has to come from the home you were raised and those people that raised you. I come from that home where if you fail the exam, you will repeat. If you commit a crime, you are punished. So coming from that background, and I now went into the system where I also married a man that is also into this, things must be done the right way. So I didn't have a choice to deviate. I couldn't move to another direction. And then I got into this job where I got a job in the University of Education in Port Harcourt.
Excuse me.
And I was in the registry where I was placed in charge of writing out, preparing the transcript for those who had passed, who need a transcript to move further. And I discovered that some of those coming for that transcript had a lot of carryover. And then I will ask, with this number of carryover, how did you graduate? And my boss will say, are you teaching me my job? And then some will apply to get their transcript, and when they come after paying the money in the bank and bringing us their bank receipt, getting to the department, some will say, you have to bring money for typists, you have to bring money for the messenger that will go and get the file out, you have to bring money for the person that will type and sign. They didn't go down well with me because it has not been like this in Nigeria. The Nigeria I knew and grew up in was that Nigeria where the children of the rich people go to government school. It is only the maid that went to private school, and private I mean commercial school. But Nigeria now is the rich that go to private school, and then those who don't have go to government school where little or nothing is done. And the next thing I knew was that my boss called me one early morning and said, are you trying to teach me my job, you this woman? I said, no sir, it's not fair. When these children come in and you collect all the money in their pocket, they don't have transport to go home. Even the money they brought for their lunch, you take it. And I was fired. But that didn't deter me. I went back home and I waited. When another job opportunity came, I wrote the exam, I passed, and I got the job. And there were these teachers that came that day. We were resuming. As they got there, they said, I can't walk here, oh, I can't cross water, oh, hey, I cannot live here, oh, this community is backward. I was looking at them quietly. Because if you say you want a job, this is the job they've given you, do it. After then, I didn't see them again. They stopped coming to work. But each time we go for biometrics, they will be the first to get there. And I'll be asking, who are these people here? My colleague said, these ones, they're also our teacher. Oh. One day I got very offended. I went to one and said, come, what are you doing here? She said, teacher. I said, teacher where? She said she's teaching in a GCS at Hataba. I said, Hataba in Andon. She said, yes. I asked her, who do you teach? If I drop you in the crowd, will any student see you and say you are my teacher? She said, then it's you that wants to teach now. Why will I go and teach you? Just share the money with the principal and you don't have any problem. And I felt very bad. When I got back, I said, sir, you are complaining that we don't have teachers here. Students are not doing well. And the few ones government managed to give us, you are supporting them not to come to work. Principal got angry. You don't teach me my work. Go and wait for your turn. When you get there, you manage the school the way you want. And to make matter worse, I did not know. I never used to check how we sign the time book, because once I'm finished with time book, I go to class. When there is no teacher I'm teaching, I just make sure that the syllabus is covered and my students understand what I'm teaching them. But that particular day, I came very early and principal was not in school. There was no time book. I was the first to get to school. Only for me to come from class and I saw an unknown name before my name. So I now asked, who signed this name? My colleague said they don't know, because they're afraid. Me, I can't be afraid. Like my governor will say, nobody they die 2 times. Now 1 time person they die. And I took it to say, principal, I'm sorry, but who is this person that has written her name before me when she's not in school? He said, are you teaching me my job? I said, sir, this is not teaching you your job. This has to do with your level of integrity and how people will value you when you talk in public. He said, hey, go and wait. When it is your time. I was not happy. I went around trying to find out who wrote that name before me, because I cannot get to school 6:20 and then somebody will come and write name before me. School starts at 7:10. I go there early so that I will help them clean the environment before they go to class. The next morning I came early too, and I saw a copper writing that woman's name and signing it. Then I say, hey, stop it. Why are you doing this? And he said, ma, it is principal that told me to do it. I said, how can principal that I respected and I cherish so much? And like my father would say, if you want to be a big man, serve a big man. I am serving this man so that tomorrow I'll be a big woman. And he's teaching you to do this. He said, hey, ma, it's not me. I said, well, can I have your NYSC number? He refused. And God helped him, because if I had that number, he would have repeated that youth service. So from there it was one thing or the other, always. And this is a community where they don't have, they just had this internal crisis. And most of the children there are orphans. Most times I cook, I bring home for them to eat. And you'll be chasing them away to go home and bring money. And how much is the money? 500. Nobody will give me. I say, sir, how many? Let me pay. I don't. She say, ma, did you come here to work for you? I say, see, I see in these children, my own children. I won't be happy that while I am in this place, a teacher will send my child home and say, go and bring money from your mother. Of course, the child won't find me at home. And when you send these children home and the parents are not at home to give them, do you know what they will be doing? Some will go and join the militants in the creek. and the girls now they will go and get pregnant, and you are not helping them. So I decided anytime they are owing, tell me, I will pay the money.
I think that you've said a lot of really important things here today, but I think the most poignant thing you said, or the most poignant interpretation I've gotten, is that currently in Nigeria, integrity actually has consequences.
Yes.
As opposed to having benefits, right? So it seems like when evil triumphs, the singular people who are now doing good things end up being the ones who are punished. But let's move away from some of these, really painful stories that you've told. I'm hopeful we'll come back to them in the course of this conversation. And let's talk a bit about what has the recognition for uprightness done to your personality? Are you fired up to do more? What is your plan to raise more people like you? You sound like a really, truly exciting person. And I think that, for all of the people who asked you, do you want to teach me my job? I think you should actually be teaching them their jobs, because you seem to know even more than they're doing. So what has this award done for you? And what is your plan to raise more people like you?
Actually, when I was doing this work, I did not know one day I'll be recognized. But like my grandmother told me, say, sow seed in the morning, sow in the afternoon, sow in the evening. You don't know which one will germinate. Yes. Yeah. So that has been what has been motivating me. So even where I am now, I have not tried to change. Like one lady said when I came back for the award, she was like, hey, where's the money they gave you now? I said, they didn't give me money. They just gave me a fine hotel to sleep. And I rested and came back. And I've come to work. And she was like, what kind of award is that? They didn't give you anything. I say, no, they didn't give me. I was not doing it to collect money. I was doing it because inside me I felt happy I was doing it. So even till now, I try to make my students see that coming to school is not all about dodging classes, giving teachers money, and then forming a clique. It's all about sitting down to be taught, so that tomorrow you too can stand out. And you will now say, I am a proud student of this school. This person taught me. And that is what I have done.
Fantastic. Final question for you before we move on to the other respondents. From your practical experiences, and you already touched on a few of them, how much damage has corruption caused to our educational system? I can already see you shaking your head. But can you put it in words? How much damage has it caused?
A lot. Corruption has finished the Nigerian system. Because now, if you go to the university, if not 95% of the lecturers there and the admin people, their children are not going to public school. They are in private schools. And if your children are not in the system, what concern you? Do you understand?
Yeah.
Some may not even come to work. Some will just come walk through and go home. Like I'm teaching in the secondary school. Some teachers don't go to class. They employ people to teach for them and pay them. And what are they teaching? Do you take time to check through what they are teaching the student?
As a matter of fact, why are you employed to teach something and then you're getting someone
I don't know. Okay. It has really damaged the system. It has. And we will say, do you know it's very bad when you meet a copper that cannot speak good English?
Yes.
They can't even write.
And this can be traced to the level of education
that
they've got.
So as a teacher, let me finish. As a teacher, I don't allow a copper to teach my subject. I teach geography. I don't mind what it takes from me. Principal will say, divide class and give some to. I say, sir, no copper should teach my classes. So because when they start from SS1 to damage them, by the time they get to SS3, they will expect me to come and sit down.
And perform a miracle.
I will not. I cannot.
Maybe if my geography teacher had taught me the entire thing, I would have known, I'd have been better with distances. But let's talk to Mr. Eyong, Sunday Eyong, who is a colleague of yours. Mr. Eyong, good evening. How are you doing today?
I am fine. Good evening, everyone in the studio.
Fantastic. Can you tell us a little more about Mrs. Robertson Duque and how her lifestyle has impacted you and others by extension?
This is a lady I know so very many years ago as a classmate in the university, and she's someone that right from even then, she doesn't like anything injustice. She doesn't want to see anybody cheated. She doesn't want to see someone, go through undue suffering and all that. So that I think she took up at the later stages of her life, which is when she was in the school system teaching. And so she's like someone that would like to nurture, mentor children, and support children. Even so, sometimes she goes the way to try to use our personal resources to take care of students, just to make sure they are neat, just to make sure they meet up basic provisions, just to make sure they pay school fees, just to make sure it's impacting them positively and mentor them to become what they should be. I mean, that is a lot, even in impacting the lives of those children. Because growing up, those children will know that someone actually impacted in them and helped them, so they'll be able to have the mind or help someone else.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. What are you doing personally? So let's assume she has impacted your life, Abi.
Sure, she has actually encouraged me. Because even she does it to the extent that she can actually go out there to try to source money to help these children. And one thing she does, and I'm so proud of, is the fact that she has never for one day, gotten, let's say, 100,000 and used 20,000 to do something and keep the remaining balance. She will just account for it do exactly what is meant to be done with the resources, and that has actually also inspired me so much, so that in December I also actually launched my own personal foundation to assist school children in my area. And last December I had to pay out about close to 500,000 of my personal money to assist 40 SS students who were writing WAEC. So I mean, I'm already impacted by that. I'm doing that line myself, and I'm so proud of her in this thing.
Thank you so much. I think one thing we're learning over the course of these town hall meetings is that integrity has a way of breeding integrity, and for every integrity icon we bring on, there's always someone who's clearly been impacted by their lives. My final question to you: how do we reduce corruption to the barest minimum in our educational system? What solutions do you have?
We will do that from the demand side and the supply side. From the demand side, we have to look at the school children. What are we actually impacting in them? And how are parents, what's the attitude of parents towards their children in school? How much responsibility are we making? Are we putting into children in schools? And how much are we encouraging them to really work hard to earn success? So on the other side of the supply side of it, we will look at the quality of instruction, how we are taking care of teachers, how we are, because we are paying them well, we are holding them to account to do the right thing, without looking for how to cut, cost and find short ways, because there are some people who don't really do their jobs and nobody's looking at them. So you are paying for somebody, you're not even checking or monitoring to see whether the person is delivering what should be delivered. So even right from the secondary school, some students are not well taught. And you see, we go out there, you see that we have this mass and huge emphasis on certificate, so everybody wants to write the exam and pass. However you pass, provided you're able to present a certificate, nobody cares. So, and you go out there, you can't do nothing, you cannot find anything. So the whole corruption breeds corruption, and so everybody wants to get a certificate. The parents are not even helping matters, they want to buy their way. So that their children will earn a certificate. So all these things breeds corruption. So in the school system. So if we are able to try to make people and children to learn that they have to earn whatever success they want to earn in life, and we give them every opportunity to learn that without necessarily looking for, okay, I want to buy result for my child, or the teacher is being paid and is not doing the job, and somebody is there to watch over that teacher and bring that person to book, and employ the right quality of people, give them the right kind of mobilization and resources to be able to do the job.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sunday.
Corruption will be reduced.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Two things jumped out for me. Take care of it from the supply side and from the demand side. Thank you so much for talking with us today, Mr. Sunday. I'm going to go over to Dr. Sam Amadi, and I have a number of questions for you. The first of them is one that Madam Roberts Ndukwe already responded to, and it is: how much has corruption undermined the educational sector, and why should Nigeria be worried? Why should Nigerians be worried?
Well, let's probably start from why should we be worried. We should be worried because if education, as it has basically crumbled the quality of education, if corruption has crumbled the quality of education, then it means that we would most likely have in the future inability to produce quality goods and services. So today, people are talking about it's difficult to have a Nigerian technician, maybe fix a house or fix something. You have to go to maybe Togo or Benin to get quality education. That's also a form of informal education. So basically, nobody's learning. We have doctors today. We know that when people are in hospital, you are praying that they don't suffer from medical malpractices. It's not the cure, it's more dangerous than the disease. And so the implication is that you are going to have very ruinous health services because doctors are basically competent. You're not even sure whether they are doctors, basically. Let's even forget, the corruption of the education sector has gone beyond people cutting corners to basically people posing for what they are not. So we've seen cases of persons who came from NYSC but didn't go to any university, any secondary school. They got a certificate, they got everything. We've even seen professors, NUC has published quite a list of professors who didn't have WAEC, basically, and maybe they somehow managed to get those other advanced degrees, and they are professors. So I used to say that probably Nigeria has about 50% fake certificates, people in authority, in government, in academia, in media self, everywhere. So basically, Nigeria is a country that is thoroughly a fake country, if you look at the level of fake certificates. So implication is economic growth is threatened. Implication is the value that supports even democracy. So when people have made it through fraud, then they replicate it, and then the structure, and that's why it matters. People keep preaching about, let's go to the old ways. They think corruption is not a matter of morality in the sense of religious morality. It's actually a matter of incentive structure, which means if people are getting away with cutting corners, they buy their WAEC, they buy JAMB, they can get a LLB lawyer without going to school, somebody writes the exam for them, then there's no reason why they shouldn't do those things. So what we are doing now in Nigeria, the corruption has become so symptomatic and pervasive, what they call grand corruption, that it's actually difficult to manage it or deal with it with preaching, with morality.
Yes.
Because it's structurally sustained. The systems we have created are systems that require people to behave that way.
Yeah.
So we're going to see one person like her, outlier, maybe out of 1,000, it's not sustainable.
And she'll keep getting fired.
Outliers. It doesn't make much sense because many people would have been like her, but the cost of being like her is so high because the system has put the cost high to have integrity. So who will be fired and you come back? So if they fire you the first time, the next time you play the game. So the cost of corruption in Nigeria is that first it made Nigeria an unproductive economy. Nigeria is very poor and will remain poor for a long time. The Minister of Finance has said we're not producing. We can't produce because the system is not for production. Again, let's not forget that the macro corruption here that is driving the small corruption is that there are people in this country who have access to everything without working for it. It started with military rule, actually aggravated, when military governors can get their wives and daughters and children admitted to university, when they can actually send somebody to be a judge who probably has only 2 years experience. So we have created this system that's basically no reason for people to have confidence in our product. Now think about foreign investment. People won't trust a country like Nigeria. I mean, at a point, our certificates are not being dissatisfied. Some of our universities cannot guarantee you admission, even employment. They will degrade you. Ghana has higher rating by far. When I used to be a great student abroad, when they recruited people for Harvard, Yale, when people apply from Ghana University, Legon particularly, fantastic. But when people apply from other universities, maybe with the exception of UNILAG and UI and a few of those schools, they probably will do a second guessing. They ask somebody in their Commonwealth office or somebody in the embassy, do you know about the school called University of Ilorin? What do you know about it? They go to internet.
So let's talk about funding these schools, right? Because we know that like schools like Legon, right, very well funded, functional structures, etc. Nigeria has consistently underfunded its educational sector.
Sure.
Do you believe that, in addition to corruption, the abysmal funding is also a problem, or has also been a problem?
I think the funding also feeds the corruption. And let me tell you, I teach at a private university. Probably, making it safe myself, many people in my school, are not going to be involved in corruption openly, because they are actually, not that they are paid heavily, but they are paid enough to do the basics. So imagine if you're at a state university somewhere and they're paying you the kind of fee that can't even sustain you a day, and they have a student who can give you 200,000, 300,000, which is probably 4 times your basic salary, for example. So, and the problem is this: Nigeria has a large number of people who are going to university, maybe inordinately, Abroad, you'd be surprised. Even the US, some of the people are not teacher educated. They don't go to teacher education. People finish secondary school, they're truckers. They're making so much money. They are doing things. So I have always argued that the notion that everybody must go to university is a wrong one. It has made the government to multiply schools that have no viability anywhere. So some schools, their budget cannot cater for a kindergarten anywhere in the world. So what we should be doing actually is, like I told them, the federal government should be giving their money as grant to universities so that they have different levels of universities. You have first tier universities that people go there.
Community colleges.
Exactly. So if you go to the first year, you're going to pay more, or corporations will put scholarship for you people. So the brightest and the smartest will compete for positions. In that way, scale that it can't be given all universities the same. You give Ife, you give Ibadan, you give Sokoto, Utmondefodio, you give Imosu, you give people. That's wrong. That's the Nigerian problem. Mediocrity has been democratized.
Final question, mediocrity. Let's segue from that into how do we solve the problem. You've listed quite a few problems this evening. How do we solve all of them? And I'm talking about all the problems from, sex for grades, money for grades, parents, assisting their children with finances so they can pass. How do we solve the problem of corruption?
Solution for education. I think there should be, if there's a place we need capital punishment, it should be for certificate racketing. I mean, it destroys everything about modern society. Economy is built on a trust that the certificate says what it says it is. So if certificate cannot say what it says it is, a doctor is fake certificate, then people will die. That's one place I support capital punishment for corruption in the education sector. The second thing we must do quickly is that maybe it's the time to appoint what I call an ombudsman, like they do abroad, whose job is to go around and spot out people like her and people who are corrupt for prosecution. The system has to be, the government of Nigeria cannot take like a task. You have to be intensive. Go there, set an inspector of education whose job is not to look at building, is to look at fraud. Exam ethics, I used to do work for them, and they are focused on ethics, bringing back ethics on education. So an ombudsman is important, and like a general inspector general, whose job is to go and rebuild that. And third is this: we should de-emphasize that everybody should have easy pass to university. Universities should be based on three things. One, either you access grants, which people can give, you use debt to go to, or you pay money. Local governments can put in money for their children to go to university, the parents who are poor. So let's subsidize the poor people to go to school. Let's stop paying 35,000 for students who have iPhone 11. It's just madness. How can a university run a university with 35,000 school fees? The student coming there has 800 naira or 1 million naira today iPhone. Some of them have 3 or 4. It doesn't make, it's stupidity. People should pay reasonable fee for universities. Those who are poor should be supported with grant and scholarship, but school should be free. Free school is cheap school, is devalued school, is corrupt school.
What's your fourth point?
The fourth point therefore is, I've said one is capital punishment,
two,
ombudsman.
Three, de-emphasize university education.
And thirdly is that fourth is now rank your subvention to university based on performance. So each year, like the US, people, you do a grant, you apply, you say we want to specialize in engineering. So based on your grant, they will give you the money. And then they go back and do M&A, monetary evaluation. Have you achieved what the money is for? There's no point giving people money to be building like a 60 million gate. There are no textbooks, no library. A university builds 65 million to build a gate to nowhere.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam Amadi, with the source right there. Let's go to David Crown Oyebisi. We're going to talk very quickly. How bothered are you about the failing standards of our educational system? And let's throw in a solution with that. How can we reduce corruption? So give me a problem, give me the solution.
That's okay. I want to first and foremost appreciate the organizer of this program. My name is David Crown Oyebisi. Yeah, it's how bothered am I. To say I'm bothered about the falling state of education is an understatement. Because considering my work the last 14 years in the educational sector, I was a trained accountant. I went to serve. I was posted to serve in the primary school. I was teaching in the primary school, primary 4 precisely. And what I saw couldn't make me to sleep. I was coming back. So that was what actually originated Center for Educational Empowerment and Orientation I'm so bothered seeing people who go to school who cannot be able, to replicate what they have learned in school. For example, just like what she said, core members, I've worked with teachers for close to 14 years now. There are teachers who don't know how to write, who don't know how to read in our system. So it calls for a bordering. My heart bleeds whenever I see what is actually going on in the educational sector of Nigeria. Okay, so and as a result, I think we need to do something very, very fast to be able to address the problem. One, Nigeria is actually overdue for National Curriculum Conference. Being overdue for National Curriculum Conference. We're in the 21st century, and when you meet some of the teachers that we have in the school today, I mean, especially those who are graduated from the Nigerian schools, you come to discover that they are far behind in most of the pedagogies that are being taught in developed countries today. So we are overdue for national curriculum. Then also there is need for general training of teachers. General trainings of teachers.
I hope it's not the training where they just give them per diem and
No.
Yeah?
That's not kind of training. In fact, the training we're talking about is the one that need to be mapped with people that have integrity. Sometimes when you go for some of this training, even those who you have to train will tell you, just come and read up things for us so that we can go. No, that's not the kind of training we're talking about. Intensive training, we call it workshop. So there is need for that. Then also, teachers should be put as a priorities of the government. The reason why we are having failure in the educational system today is because the teachers have been jettisoned by the government. The government need to put teachers first. If you look at nations in the world today that are celebrating development, that have lowest rate of crimes and corruptions, like Singapore, like Finland, and some other country like that, you come to see that they value their teachers. Nigeria don't value their teachers.
So let's talk a little bit about not only valuing teachers but valuing students, right? So your organization puts together essays and quiz competitions to stimulate students' excellence.
Okay.
From the activities that you have carried out, over the past 14 years, are you convinced that this corruption we've been talking about is one of the factors responsible for low educational standards in the country? And how are your quizzes and your essay competitions countering that?
Yeah, actually, the reason why we've been organizing this competition is just to be able to, work on the minds of these young people. Corruption is one key thing that makes the falling standard of education to be more obvious. Just like I say, I talk more especially on teachers because my belief is that if we have the right teachers in place, we have the right pupils in place, we have the right students in place, we have the right society. So when we work on the teachers work on the pupils. So what we do is just to organize programs that to teach these young people to think differently, to do things differently, and to say no to corruption in the school systems.
Thank you so much.
That's what we do with our quiz.
That's an excellent response. Really, really excellent response. I'm going to talk to Madam Christy Umudia, who actually runs a school. She's a proprietress of Excellent Kiddies Montessori Academy, Buari, Abuja. Madam, examination malpractice, support for students to cheat in exams. How can we eliminate these in private schools? Let's start with the hard question first.
Okay, thank you very much. Mrs. Christy Mudia, as you have rightly said, exam malpractice. First, you should know what exam malpractice means. What do we talk about? Is ability to is a helping the candidates, favoring the candidates to pass exam. It's a wrong way of helping the candidates to pass exams. There are so many things that is contributing to exam malpractice. As he has rightly said, the foundation of the children, what has been our learning activities in the school, attainment level of children from being promoted from one class to the other. You see parents want their children, maybe a child can do some certain things. You say the child should be moved from nursery 2 to primary 2. I want my child to skip a class. Yes, I will take this child to another school. And this child on the long run, you see parents rushing to promote that is taking 8 years, 9 years to GS1. At the end, this child is going to write exams. In the school, you see parents try to tip teachers to favor their children more than others. You go on and on and on. That is form of exam, internal exam and practice. Then how can we take care of this? I would say that for internally, the school should set good train and retrain her teachers on the visions, the core values of the school. Like us, everything must be done in the fear of God. So when the teacher is caught, we say, have you done this in the fear of God? If your answer is no, then you face the consequence. Then the children, you try to set up a standard that at the point of writing tests or exams, the teacher or the class teacher will not be the one to supervise, invigilate that class. In exams, the children, what we do, which I feel other schools can borrow from, even public schools, there are exam and practice everywhere, both private and in the public school. So you can also, like, the teachers, they don't have a contact with their children when they are writing exams internally. After writing the exams, the scripts are not marked by the teachers. The scripts are sent to the vetters, and the vetters vet these scripts. The teacher in that class record the scores of the children, and then the score sheet is vetted before it's handed over to the class teacher to hand over to now transfer everything to the result sheet. By that, the teachers are not having a contact with anything.
That sounds like an excellent
and that also helps them internally. Then when we move forward, I will know what to say.
Thank you. So you've just mentioned one very important, I've never heard it said like this, where you have a different teacher invigilated class, and then even the scripts don't go back to the teacher because the teacher can still manipulate them. So you send them to a different person to mark. Sounds complicated, but also sounds very, very effective. Sounds very effective, and that's excellent. I'm going to ask you a question that's really close to this. What else are private schools like yours doing to be above board when it comes to integrity within the classroom, but also to eliminate corruption and all forms of malpractice within the schools? What else are you doing?
Okay, what we actually do is we have a thorough supervision in place. While teachers are teaching, we put it in place that you don't see the heads until as from 12 noon. By then, they are in the class watching what the teachers are doing. By then, you're not able to favor any child. Parents are free to give gifts, but no string attached.
It won't affect.
You can appreciate teachers. So we do that, and we also ensure that we do a lot of internal competitions, spelling bee, quizzes, and external. And that has also taken us to about 5 times. For 5 years, we have been representative city in Lagos and on spelling bee and others. And so I also want to also dive into, I run SS2, senior secondary section. That is where we really have high exam and practice.
Before you answer that, let's also talk about, parents being made to pay for extra classes, right? So extracurricular classes, things that should be taught in school. Put that into your answer as your comment.
Okay, for parents paying, like school time for the primary is 1:30 to close, maybe secondary 2 o'clock. What do you do with the children that want to come and pick the parents want to pick them after closing, maybe 4 o'clock? So that is where extra lessons comes in, where you look at where the children have challenges in their academics and handle that. That is why if parents can pick their children by 2 p.m., all of us, we can go home. So that is that. Then for the external exams, NECO and WAEC need to do more. In registration, how do you make up of a school that has 50, 30, maybe at SS3, and at the point of registration they have 400, 500 candidates? So the NECO had to go on a task force Card system is not enough. Just key in how many children you have in SS1, SS2. At the end of the day, the same school that have about 50, it's not. It cannot be a magic.
Fantastic.
To do that, they need to do more.
Everyone
and
needs to be.
Yes.
All hands need to be on deck. Thank you so much, Madam Christy Imudia. Call us, send us a message, let us know. Don't forget the questions I asked earlier were, how can we eliminate corruption from schools, whether they're private schools, public schools, junior secondary, senior secondary, primary, even kindergarten levels. Let us know. Call us while I talk to Mr. Prince Chimaroke Chukwuka, who's the representative of Accountability Lab. Mr. Chimaroke, walk us through the difficulties, the rigors, and all of the challenges Accountability Lab faced before discovering this very rare teacher and public servant. Okay, I think we have a call coming in. Good evening. Good evening, Apostle. What's your contribution to the show?
Yes, my contribution goes to this. If we can have a number checking all those people, those are proprietors of the school. We not only today, but time without number, monitoring them. In absence of this, there must be corruption there, because sometimes they will see that some school proprietors, they will say, bring so, let's go, bring so. All those things are, making things to be harder for the parents. But if there will be a professor who will be monitoring them, it will eliminate corruption in the school. Thank you and God bless you. This is Apostle Authorized.
Thank you so much, Apostle. He says to monitor the proprietors and the proprietresses so that children stop being asked to bring in tissues and soap. Okay. Mr. Prince Chimaroke, you were going to respond on the rigors and challenges.
All right. Just before I do that, first of all, thank you for having me. Permit me to quickly respond to the question about corruption in our educational system and how to improve it. I'll just go quickly. First of all, I think as a nation, our educational system have come to a point where we now celebrate mediocrity. So much so that a system now that produces the kind of teachers, the qualities of teachers that go into the classroom has become lowered, and the standard very appalling. I'll make a quick example. If you look through JAM and see how people are admitted into the university, first of all, while I was growing up, if you don't have a cutoff of at least 200, you should not get an admission. I am alarmed that right now, as against working to see how we can improve the educational quality of what we give our students, we are lowering, we're trying to lower the standards. Now I can hear the rector saying now you need just 160.
Oh, for some people, isn't it
160 to go, 160 now to go into the university, 120 to go into polytechnics. To make it worse, 100, you need to score 100 out of 400 to go into the College of Education. This, which will in turn produce the kind of teachers that go into the classroom. What do you expect they teach if they do not have the capacity to even study? So please,
I can feel the vex.
I really don't want to go there.
Bring it. Okay, before you go on, let me give you a minute to catch your breath and calm down. Another question for you. Hope you've calmed down a little bit.
All right.
Why has it become common to pay for marks in our schools? And why has it become common for parents to push for their wards to be assisted in exams? And as always, give me a solution. What can we do?
I think what we can do first of all is to go back to the drawing board and look at it properly. I think one thing our leaders fail to do is to look, maybe start from the end, to try to picture what you want to achieve, and then begin to work your way back on how best or what steps to take to be able to achieve that result you hope to achieve. First of all, we are training people who go through our educational system are just, I don't know if there's a word like theorists. People who just graduate and all they say is theory. They do not produce nothing. We do not train our children to challenge the existing status quo. We train them to recite what already exists. You understand? So
I think we have another call. I'm going to try to talk to this person. Hello, good evening. Or did we lose them? Okay, Mr. Prince, back to you.
All right. So we really need to look at it properly. I mean, I do not see anything wrong in an educational system where in the day, just like the proprietor was trying to say, you can teach them formal education. after school hours, what we should teach our children should be reminders of values, should be engagement in sport activities, should be engagement in skill acquisition that will make them productive. For heaven's sake, I mean, if you go overseas, I think high school...
I have another call. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, I think we lost him. Mr. Prince, the rate at which you're going, I'm going to send you into school. Good evening. Okay, I can't, I think I've lost this call. Mr. Prince, we're going to come back to you.
Okay.
Finish. Okay, I can hear you. Good evening. How are you doing? What's your contribution to the show today?
My name is Umar Buba, and I'm calling from Abuja here from Guzate. And my contribution is that I've heard the comment by the gentleman who is breathing up and down, trying to say that entry, exit, and quality is very low. Of course it's low. Even historically, those that have gone with very high marks into institutions where they have equipment, it's the same people who are up there now. What are their contributions? So the whole thing runs to redesigning the education system in Nigeria. In Finland, where they have the best education system, there's no entry point. Everybody has to go. There's nothing like enrollment percentage. It's 100%. So it's not really how much have you gotten to get in or how to get out. The education system has to totally be rebooted to make sure that it addresses our needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What a fantastic contribution. Mr. Prince, I'm going to round up with you now and just ask, the same question I've asked everyone today. How can we reduce corruption to the bare minimum?
Hello?
Good evening. What's your contribution to the show?
I really want to commend my colleague Prince. He's doing a great job, and the points are very good. I just wanted to add to what he's saying as well. My contribution would be like we need, as a nation, right from the Ministry of Education, to begin to increase our standard. The standard of the bar has been lowered from the Ministry of Education. We can't afford having such standards which differentiates people from the northern zone. I think if we could check from the statistics, the cut-off marks are not even unique all through the country. So you have a certain cut-off mark for a certain part of the country. You have a certain cut-off mark for a certain part of the country. But we need to now raise the standard because the bars have been low. The curriculum, everything, we need to rejig our system. So that's my contribution. Well done.
Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Prince, hopefully nobody else calls to interrupt you. How can we reduce corruption to the barest minimum in our society, in our educational system? You've got 1 minute.
Okay. Quickly, I will just say, I think education, we should first of all understand that it begins from the home. And children learn more, not by what they're told, but by what they see. And the first educator any child would encounter would be the parents or the guardians with whom they are groomed. From that point, once the right values are inculcated, it will go on and the ripple effect would go around, affecting all of our systems. Just like we're trying to do an accountability lab with the integrity icons, we're trying to see how we can begin to put together a clique of people who have vowed to not compromise standard and do the best that they can within their affairs and ensure that quality is served without any compromise. And what we're doing is to get these people, as many as they can, into to increase that network, so that if we have more of them, the level of resistance to doing the right thing would actually reduce.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prince Chimaroke Chukwuka. Thank you so much. My name is Choma Gwebo. I want to say a big thank you to all of my participants in the studio. You have been excellent respondents. Particular thanks go to Mrs. Roberts Ndukwe, who's the integrity icon for 2019. And I'm going to close out, before handing you back to Adobe, I'm going to close out with something that she said. She said, sow seeds in the morning, sow seeds in the afternoon, and sow them in the evening. You don't know which one will be productive. You don't know which one will be good. I hope that as we go along our daily businesses, the seeds that we're sowing everywhere will be seeds of integrity, seeds of anti-corruption, and seeds that better the educational system of our dear country. My name again is Choma Gwebo. It was my pleasure moderating. I'm going to hand you back to Adobe.
Thank you so much, Choma Gwebo, for a wonderful moderation. Education, like Prince said, begins from the home. And Dr. Sam Amadi did mention that those involved in certificate racketeering should be punished. And with this, we've come to the end of this special radio town hall meeting against corruption. We appreciate Mrs. Kachelon Bertram Roberts Ndukwe, our shining example in the educational sector for her exemplary personality, which cannot be overemphasized. We also commend Eyong Sunday, whom our integrity icon has influenced positively. We appreciate our speakers, Dr. Sam Amadi, Senior Lecturer and Head of Department Public and International Law at Base University; David Crown Oyebisi, Founder and Executive Director, Center for Educational Empowerment and Orientation; Christy Imudia, Proprietress of Excellent Kiddies Montessori Academy, Buari, Abuja; Prince Chimaroke Chukwuka, Representative of Accountability Lab, Nigeria. Thank you so much. If you have a message for us or you want to react to what you heard on this program, please reach us through 0902-265-6167. That is 0902-265-6167. Or through info@primorg.org. PRIMORG is spelled PRIMORG. We encourage you to please visit the news page of our website, news.primorg.org. That is news.primorg.org. For all the details of our reports and interviews, visit our website, primorg.org, to get all the information about PRIMORG. Again, PRIMORG is spelled PRIMORG. PRIMORG's engagement against corruption is supported by the John T. and Catherine V. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a more just, verdant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation at its website, macfound.org. We will give you enough time for our next radio town hall meeting here. Please follow us on all our social media platforms at Official PRIMORG to get timely information on our activities. Many thanks to the PRIMORG team for a wonderful work, and also the executive producer of PRIMORG radio town hall meeting. My meeting series is Agbonsuremi Okiria. We appreciate you a lot. I am Adaobi Obiabomo. Stay safe.